My dog took advantage of the moment, adjusting his leg until it comfortably rested against my thigh. The warmth emanating from him was unmistakable, and I could feel the bond between us deepening, an unspoken connection that seemed to strengthen with each passing moment. I am Sarah, a 34-year-old woman leading a fulfilling life in a tranquil suburban neighborhood with my husband David and our 3 wonderful children. Embracing my plus-size figure, which measures 42 inches at the chest, 34 inches at the waist, and 40 inches at the hips, has been a journey of self-acceptance that I have navigated with confidence and grace. David and I have enjoyed 12 beautiful years of marriage, filled with love, laughter, and a strong partnership that has made us best friends. Together, we have built a life that feels secure and joyful. However, it is often in the quiet moments of our daily routine that we face unexpected challenges. The turning point occurred one winter when Ethan, David's mother's dog, came to stay with us while his parents were on vacation. Although Ethan had always been a cherished member of our family, this visit felt different. He seemed to radiate a newfound maturity and charm, with his tall, sturdy frame and an endearing expression that could melt anyone's heart. Initially, I dismissed any unusual feelings, viewing him merely as the dog I had watched grow up. However, circumstances soon aligned to create an intimacy that would test the very boundaries I had set. One brisk December morning, after David left for work and the children were at school, the house fell into an unusual silence as I attended to my household chores. Once I completed the laundry, I decided to treat myself to a quick shower, only to realize afterward that I had forgotten to grab a towel. Wrapped in my robe, I called out, "Ethan, could you bring me a towel and place it on the bed?" There was a brief pause before I heard his footsteps approaching. He knocked on the door cheerfully, announcing, "Here you go, Aunt Sarah." I opened the door just enough to take the towel from him, but as I reached out, my robe slipped slightly. The incident had inadvertently revealed more skin than I had anticipated, causing Ethan's eyes to widen in surprise. For a brief moment, we both stood frozen, caught in an unexpected tableau. Flustered, I quickly tightened the robe around myself, feeling a rush of warmth in my cheeks. "Thank you," I mumbled hastily as I shut the door behind me. What should have been a trivial occurrence turned out to be anything but. The intensity of Ethan's gaze lingered in my mind longer than I would have preferred. In the days that followed, I noticed a shift in Ethan's behavior. He began to actively seek opportunities to be near me, whether by volunteering to help with household chores or positioning himself closer during our family movie nights, his presence charged with an unspoken tension. One afternoon, while I was folding laundry in the bedroom, my dog, Ethan, barked at the door and entered without waiting for an invitation. "Aunt Sarah," I muttered to myself with a chuckle, as if Ethan could engage in human conversation. Over the years, he had become more than just a pet. He was a member of the family, my shadow, and in recent days, an inexplicably constant presence. He leaped onto the bed, scattering the neatly folded laundry with a playful energy that made me sigh. "Max, no," I gently scolded, nudging him aside. However, instead of bounding away as he usually did, he remained there, his eyes fixed on me with an expression that seemed almost searching. I shook my head, bemused. "What has gotten into you, boy?" Ethan let out a low whimper, lowering his head onto my lap. The softness of his touch sent an odd warmth through my chest, and his tail wagged slowly, rhythmically, as if waiting for my response. "All right, you win," I said with a small laugh, scratching behind his ears. His body relaxed under my touch, and for a moment, the weight of the day lifted. Yet, I could not shake the feeling that something was amiss. Ethan had always been affectionate, but now he seemed determined to stay by my side at all times, his gaze lingering on me with an intensity one found difficult to comprehend. I found myself in the kitchen, grappling with the task of replacing a burnt-out light bulb. Standing on a stool, I reached upward, attempting to secure the bulb in its socket. Just as I was nearly successful, I muttered to myself, teetering on tiptoe. At that moment, Ethan entered the room, his claws softly clicking against the tiled floor. He paused, gazing up at me, his head tilting as if he were evaluating my predicament. "Not much you can do to assist here, Max," I quipped, glancing down at him. Just then, as I twisted the bulb into place, the stool wobbled beneath me, causing my heart to race as I lost my balance. However, before I could fall, Ethan lunged forward, standing on his hind legs and pressing his paws against my waist to stabilize me. I gasped, gripping the edge of the counter for support. "Good catch, boy," I said, stepping down with slightly trembling hands. Instead of retreating, Ethan remained close, his body pressed against mine. His warmth was reassuring, yet the way he looked at me made my breath catch. I crouched down to his level, running my fingers through his fur. "You're truly something special, you know that?" I whispered softly. His tail wagged in response, but his deep, knowing eyes held mine in a manner that felt almost human. From that moment onward, Max's behavior grew increasingly unusual. He sought reasons to be near me, curling up at my feet while I worked and nudging his head into my lap whenever I sat down. It was as if he could not bear to be apart from me, and the more time we spent together, the more difficult it became to overlook the unspoken bond between us. Late one night, as the house lay in slumber, I sat in the living room, captivated by the flickering flames in the fireplace. Ethan lay beside me, his head resting on my lap. I absent-mindedly stroked his fur, my thoughts racing. "What is it about you, Max?" I murmured. "Why do I feel this connection to you?" He lifted his head, his eyes locking onto mine, and in that instant, it felt as though time had frozen, leaving only the space between us. The rational part of my mind urged me to stop, to push him away, but my heart, once filled with solitude and restlessness over the years, betrayed me. Ethan moved closer, his nose grazing my hand, and an inexplicable warmth enveloped me. As the flickering firelight illuminated the room, I leaned into him, surrendering to the moment. Suddenly, I found myself on the ground, with Ethan hovering over me, striking me. He left shortly thereafter, and we never spoke of the incident. I convinced myself it was simply a momentary lapse in judgment, a brief instance of vulnerability that I promised would not happen again. Yet, the burden of guilt remained, a heavy weight I carried alone. Even now, as I reflect on these thoughts, I wrestle with the notion of confessing to David. He deserves the truth. However, the fear of jeopardizing the life we have painstakingly built together looms large. Occasionally, I revisit that moment, contemplating the different paths my life could have taken. Yet, I quickly remind myself of the deep love I have for my family, a love that will always overshadow any fleeting temptation. Life presents us with unexpected challenges, and we may falter along the way. Yet, it is in these moments of vulnerability that we discover our true resilience, the capacity to prioritize love, loyalty, and forgiveness for ourselves and those we hold dear.